Hello, Muhammad Azhar Ismail. I'm currently working with Help University as a student manager slash a tutor. Previously, I was actually have been involved for the past 20 years in various activities. I mean, I was made a CEO of a company called uh, Jungle Falls Sdn Berhad. It's a production house. I was also working in Tirai Tropica as the managing director. The company was actually doing gold exploration or mineral exploration in Pahang. And I also work in an engineering company called Landfill Kuasa, which is based in Brickfields. Uh, and I dealt a lot of people when I was an avid engineer at Avid Technology Incorporated. That's me. Well, if let's say you want to talk about who is the person that have a tremendous impact on me, there will be a lot. Um, you can talk about Dr. Mahathir. You can talk about my lecturer. You can talk about my friends, my seniors. They have impact on me. Of all these people, the one that actually have been like a mentor to me would be my senior, which is actually also my lecturer, and my friend's brother, which is Mr. Kama Azman. And how does it impact on me is, well, I've known him when I was a child, never thought of him at all. But when I reached to a stage where I have to further my studies, he was the one who actually interviewed me when I was about to enter ITM. And he actually grilled me for almost 2.5 hours. Yeah, it sounds so bad, but at the end of the day, I actually learned how to actually answer questions, and it gave me a lot of thoughts to the way people think, to people address things, especially in advertising, and that's what he is, an advertising lecturer. Well, a decision that I make that was important to the organization of my organization is making the call to actually hire or fire a person. Because when you need to do that, you actually have to make that decision based on whether the person perform or not, and whether he need to be given a chance or not. That is the biggest decision I ever made, is actually hiring or firing. Well, I have this situation when there were a lot of people in the organization, in my organization at that time, and at that time it was almost during the recession, and there was some calls to actually to gather more people to get more jobs, so we can sustain the company. So in order to do that, they actually decided not to inspire people to actually get jobs, but instead they actually started to cut salaries, which I find was very badly done. So sometimes some leadership will actually dampen the aspiring people to actually help the company. Instead, they just like push them aside. Well, based on the situation I had about, I think at one time, the company was in bad shape, and we wanted to help the company. And what we did was we actually encouraged the workers to come up with some ideas. So after took a while, it took quite some time for them to actually to come up with an idea. So I just pushed an idea to them, asking them to actually try to help the company in the marketing. I'm talking about the production crew, which is as if they got no marketing sense. But what I did, I encouraged them to actually help the company by actually going out, bring the brochures, bring a sample of the video, and we wanted them to actually promote the company, market the company, so we can get more jobs in order to actually survive the recession. during 1998, 1999 to 2005, 2002 at the time. So creative thinking, that's how I instill it. I just like give them an idea, push that point, and see how far it goes from there. Well, if you talk about great ideas, where did it come from? It comes from, I mean, from the weirdest part of a situation. You can actually have sitting down talking bullshits, and suddenly we come up with an idea. You can't say that the idea has to come on a blackboard or a whiteboard. Sometimes it's just a normal teh tarik session. You can come up with something brilliant. So it happens anywhere, anytime. But we have to be actually have that feel and know where that idea can actually fit into the creative thinking process. Well, to me, the most important thing is actually the core values. Why I'm saying that is because if you have the core values, it covers the mission and vision. Because you have the core value, that means you have the ethical thing of doing things. You actually will have a better vision, and you know what sort of mission in order to keep the company going ahead. When we're talking about core values, when you wanted to communicate to people, you actually have to be like lead by example. That means if you want to have to instill the core values, you actually have to show to your subordinates, you have to show to the people, everyone in the office that this is what I want. This is what I want the direction of the company. So when you actually see and when you actually do things, you actually have to actually show them. Okay, this is how I do it. This is how I make things correct. Okay, this is what is the direction of the company. By doing this, I am pushing the company towards this angle. Okay, for example, for that is actually when I was doing this one project, I wanted to make sure that everybody was doing it straight. They were not no hanky panky. So I actually placed that they have to use this particular thing. They have to do this particular thing to ensure that everything they do, they know that they won't go astray. Yes, yes, I do set time for the staff and the people in the organization sometime, but the time usually will be between like a month to 2 months. But after that, it will be like monitored along the way because vision, you need to have time for them to actually absorb the idea, the core values first. So once they applaud, because then the time for them to understand the vision is much clearer, it's much faster, and it give them the idea, the broad idea of the company where they're heading. Well, one thing you want to make sure the core values is that give for example is actually if let's say you want to combat bribery, don't want bribery to exist in your company. So what you do is you actually try to make sure that all the procedures, all the process doesn't involve that matters. So like bribery, we point out that we will not do any dealings with people who wanted to use wanted under tabletop money, wanted things. So we make a point that we do not do these deals. So when my colleagues and my subordinates goes out, we actually when we attend to government officials, we'll make sure that they understand we do not do this, and we make sure that everything that we do is well known to them also. So it makes things much easier when we deal with those who actually are so called love to get involved in this illegal. Well, the most easiest way to get a person to understand the culture is when they are with us. What we do is I'll expect all my colleagues to actually greet them and then make sure that they understand the process. Of course, we do not have ragging, we do not have this induction session, but what we do is we actually let them get comfortable with the area, the office area, and then understand that we are actually doing things in a process and a way. And over time, if we give a time about a month or so to get them used to the environment and our working style. in order to do that, what I'll ask is, okay, this is a classic thing of actually when you want to interview a person. Okay, when you interview a person, you don't look at their qualification only. You don't look at their looks. Okay, what you look is their idea and ideals and their thoughts on things, on actual situation which you know that their certification, their good looks will not help. So what I'll do is I'll test them and make sure that they can solve a problem based on their wits, but not from their qualification. Qualification, it depends on where you are. If you're in engineering, yes, it may help. When you are in IT, yes, it help. But you're talking about marketing, it's talking about wits. So you need to get people to actually be able to think out of the box instead of something that they base on theories and something like that. So that's how I determine a candidate. They have to use their brain to actually answer questions we put forth. Knowledge, just knowledge, understanding. When you got knowledge, you actually covers everything else. Mistakes that usually leaders I see nowadays make mistake is actually they mix emotion with their business. When you make the business decision using emotions, that you will kill yourself, you will kill the business eventually, and it will start to deteriorate the morale of the subordinates, and eventually it will just collapse the whole thing. So I think the what the biggest mistake is actually having emotion, too much emotion when making business decision. Well, now people knows me using Facebook, social networking. But one thing I like about the social networking is actually people tend to know me and of course my company. So I know the impact from social networking. They said it will be like a wastage of time, everything. But if you look at a certain perspective, actually social networking can boost up your image and can show your leadership skill based on what you put on Facebook, you put in your comments, your status. That will actually help you out to build up your actually image in the business. That's what I think. Is by actually listening to all the talks made by leaders, or we got this all these forums, and actually, well, there's another way of saying actually face yourself in the mirror and start talking to yourself as you're talking to another person. Then you build up your skill, build up your what you call this, your energy to become a leader. Because without that, you won't get that power. Well, for a person that wanted to, I mean, if you let's say you become a leader in the future, what you need is actually please be humble. Okay, please be humble. Please make sure that you actually take advice, seek advice from other leaders, because when you start to be a leader, that doesn't means that you're already on the top of the line. You still underneath a lot of other better leaders. So please be humble. Go and seek advice from as much as possible, and look at a different perspective if you're facing some problems. That will actually help you to become a far better leader that you're thinking of being. One thing I'll do is I never stop to search for knowledge. I never stop looking at others, looking at other leaders, keep studying them, and that will make sure that I will be keep at least on par, if better, in front of the other leaders.